Right here on these high cliffs overlooking the Hudson River on the New Jersey side stood Fort Lee, a place meant to protect, a place meant to hold the line. But in November of 1776, holding the line was no longer possible. Just days after the fall of Fort Washington, straight across the Hudson here, the Continental Army was forced to retreat from this very ground, not because they wanted to, but because survival left them no choice. And maybe you know that feeling too. That moment when you don't leave because you're ready, you leave because staying would cost you too much. When letting go isn't a preference, it's a necessity. If that's you today, this message is meant for you. Hi, I'm Sheila, a certified stress management coach, here to help you stress less, find more peace, so you can understand the deeper emotional landscape we all walk through. Let's take a breath together. We're gonna breathe in for 5. We're gonna hold for 5. And now we're gonna let go of what you can't carry forward for 5. Again, breathing courage for 5. Hold for 5. Release what no longer serves your survival for 5. Here at Fort Lee, I'm reminded that some of the most difficult moments in life are the ones where we are forced to let go before we feel ready. Let's explore 5 peace lessons from Fort Lee for the seasons when you must retreat in order to survive. Peace lesson 1, forced retreat is not weakness, it is instinct. Washington did not leave Fort Lee out of fear. He left out of wisdom. The conditions had changed, the ground was no longer safe, and sometimes in your life, you don't leave because you failed. You leave because your nervous system knows it's time. Survival is not cowardice. It is intelligence. Peace tip. If you've been questioning a choice to leave something behind, place your hand on your chest and ask, did I leave out of fear or out of self-preservation? Trust the answer that brings relief to your body. Peace lesson 2. When loss follows loss, your heart can feel like it has nowhere to land. After Fort Washington fell, Fort Lee was abandoned in haste. Supplies were left behind, plans unraveled, everything felt uncertain. And in our lives too, when one loss quickly follows another, we can feel ungrounded, adrift, without direction. Peace begins when you give yourself permission to feel unanchored without forcing yourself to stabilize too soon. Peace tip. If your life feels unsteady, stand where you are, press your feet into the ground, and quietly say, right now, I am still here. That is enough for this moment. Peace lesson 3. Letting go does not mean you no longer care. Washington lost supplies, positions, and control of the river, but he did not lose his purpose. In your life, what you're releasing may hurt deeply. Relationships, roles, dreams, identities. Letting go is not a lack of love. It is the recognition that the form has changed, not the meaning. Peace tip. If you're grieving what you had to release, whisper to yourself, I can honor what was without living there now. Grief and forward motion can exist together. Peace lesson 4. Retreat strips you of the illusion of control. After Fort Lee, the Army moved across New Jersey with no clear safety ahead. They could not predict what waited for them next, and neither can we when life forces our hand. Peace grows when you loosen your grip on certainty and allow uncertainty to be what it is, unknown, but not empty. Peace tip. If you are gripping the future tightly today, open your hands, take one slow breath and say, I do not need to know what comes next to be safe right now. Peace lesson 5. Retreat is not the end of the story. It is the repositioning for what's next. Leaving Fort Lee did not end the revolution. It set the stage for the crossing of the Delaware and the turning point at Trenton. In your life, what feels like the end of something may actually be the clearing for what comes next. Forced endings often carry hidden beginnings. Peace tip. If something has ended before you were ready, place one hand over your heart and one on your belly and say, this ending is not my disappearance. It's my repositioning. Let your breath support that truth. Right here, where retreat once began, I'm reminded that peace does not always arrive with comfort. Sometimes peace arrives as the courage to walk away with your heart still tender and your hope still intact. You don't need to rush forward. You don't need to understand everything yet. You only need to continue listening to what protects your life. And next, I hope you'll join me for my next video in the series, From Battlefield to Peace, where we move from forced retreat to the unknown crossing at Washington's crossing of the Delaware. If today's message spoke to you and you felt called to explore the emotion beneath the stress you've been carrying, I invite you to grab my free guide, 7 Steps to Discover the Emotion Behind Your Stress, and begin creating your own path back to peace. And if you're curious how stressed you really are, I also have a short test you can take for a quick snapshot of where you are right now on your journeys back to calm, safety, and peace. If you love calm creativity that helps your mind unwind, you can explore my puzzle and coloring books on Amazon. And if essential oils and calming soaps support your peace practice, check out Simply Earth. All of the links are below in the description and pinned comment. In peace, and until next time. But before we end today, for my history enthusiasts, after the fall of Fort Washington, November 16th, 1776, Fort Lee became the next immediate target. On November 20th, 1776, British forces prepared to cross the Hudson River. Washington ordered the rapid evacuation of Fort Lee. The Continental Army left behind cannons, supplies, and equipment in their urgency to escape. This marked the beginning of the long retreat across New Jersey, a retreat that would continue through late fall and early winter until the dramatic crossing of the Delaware on December 25th, 1776. Fort Lee did not represent a victory. It represented survival, and sometimes survival is the most important victory of all. Let's have a look around now. My favorite part. Of course, we have the George Washington Bridge. We were already over there at Fort Washington, and now Fort Lee was the next in the series. So we have the red lighthouse there. Of course, helicopters. New York City. I'm not really sure where in New York. George Washington Bridge here. Hudson right here. I guess that's really New York City down there. Fort Lee Historic Park has replicas of the forts. You can see over here. They do have a welcome center. It's only open Wednesday through Sunday. Banknet Fort. When I go this way, it is cold today. Come look at some of these forts. This is my first time here. Come over here. I don't have the feeling that we're stepping back in time like some of the other places, especially Waterloo, which was the first video in this series. But here is a cannon. Better view of the city there if you're interested in that. Get another cannon. And I don't know the Hudson River, the cities. here in New York City. And where is what, other than I know right over there is Fort Washington. Kind of interesting. Perhaps if they had taller walls, you didn't see the new city buildings, I'd actually feel like you're stepping literally back in time. That's okay. Go here, walk down here just a little bit. There's another forge. Why not? Welcome Center. So if you're interested in the American Revolutionary War or historic events, I highly recommend this place. For me, it took an hour and 30 minutes, maybe hour 20, and that is with no traffic. It was a great day to come here because there literally was hardly any traffic. Well, there's traffic, but could go past the speed limit if I wanted. We'll come up to this sign, look at it. Here we go. A guide to the artillery of Fort Lee. Here. Imagine if they had the George Washington Bridge back then. Certainly would have changed the course of the war or how the war was fought if there was a war. Closer look to this fort here. Go look at this sign. So this is the Revolutionary War blockhouse. The reproduction blockhouse was assembled on site in 2006 using heavy timbers and the 18th century specifications. I come to this sign and I think we're good. Here we go. 1776. I was with the troops at Fort Lee through the summer and fall. Several thousand men and women, children came to camp with the Continental Army on and around the clifftop bluff where we are now. Sir Air. You're about to enter is a microcosm of the world. You can learn how these Americans lived, worked, trained, played, and helped fight to make the bold words of July's Declaration of Independence a reality. Hopefully you've enjoyed the video and a little bit of a tour here.